phone has no more power, it's called low bat. And so if your phone is low bat, what do you need to do? You need this. You need power. Say power. I want you to know that you are the phone. And I want you to know that God is the source of all power. Yes? So you just need these two things. Yes? That's a trick question. Do you need just these two things to charge your phone? No. You need a charger. This is you. This is God. You need a charger to connect God to you. My dear friends, this is action. If you do not act, God's power will not flow into your life. Do you want God's power to flow in your life? You need action. Yes? Are you with me? Everybody say, I'm an action person. I'd like to share with you 5 steps on how to become an action person. Everybody say, I'm ready. Number 1. Step 1. Make a mess. Tell somebody beside you, make a mess. You see, the reason why many people don't like to act, what's holding them back is fear. Fear from making a mess. Fear from failing. Fear from making a mistake. But friends, that's precisely the point. You've got to conquer your fear by telling yourself, I'm going to make a mess. Some people, when they act, they want it perfect. It can't be. You've got to make a mess, and you've got to make a mess, and you've got to make a mess, and then you make a miracle. Tell somebody beside you, make a mess, make a miracle. The reason why there is a lack of miracles in your life is because you are not making enough messes. You've got to have a bias for action. Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all history, appears twice in the book of the Guinness Book of World Records. How many times does he appear? First, he appears, obviously, in the top 10 NBA players with the most points. Obvious. That's obvious. The second place he appears in the Guinness Book of World Records is not so obvious. But you need to know this. He appears in the top 10 NBA players with the most missed shots. People don't know that. The reason why he's able to make so many points is he just makes so many attempts. And many of those attempts are failures. Are you with me? Babe Ruth, one of the greatest baseball players, is known for having the world record of home runs, 774 home runs. People don't know this, but he has the world record of the most strikeouts, 1,330. Do you see a pattern between Jordan and Ruth and Babe Ruth? Do you see a pattern? You don't. Okay, I'll explain some more. You see, here's the thing. You give power to what you fear. Do what you fear, and you're taking back your power. You're afraid to fail. You're afraid to make a mess. You're afraid to make mistakes. Guess what? Just do it anyway, and you gain back your power. How many of you know Fred Astaire? Raise your hand. 2 people. In a room of thousands, 2 people. But do you know that Fred Astaire was voted one of the greatest, I think he was number 5, greatest entertainers in all of history. He is a great entertainer. But when he started, in his first audition in MGM, they rejected him. Ask me why. It was written, the guy who evaluated cannot sing, cannot act, slightly bald, can dance a little. And they rejected him. But he just kept on making messes and kept on making messes and kept on making messes to become one of the greatest entertainers. How many of you know Julie Andrews? She too was rejected when she auditioned. Ask me why. Because the evaluator said she was not photogenic enough. But she kept on and she kept on. How many of you know Walt Disney? Walt Disney. He was a young man. He applied for work in a newspaper company. They rejected him. Ask me why. This was the reason. He was not imaginative. He felt so bad. He was riding the train after being rejected by the newspaper company. He's thinking, what am I going to do with my life? He's thinking, feeling so sad about himself and so bad about himself. And he was doodling. And he drew the picture of Mickey Mouse. And then he became an entrepreneur. Do you know that before he became a successful entrepreneur, he got bankrupt many times before building Disneyland? Do you see a pattern? Do you see a pattern? Do you know Henry Ford? Henry Ford, before he became an industry titan and redefined the automotive industry, and before he built Ford Motors, he had to go through bankruptcy 5 times. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see a pattern? That if you want to succeed in life, you've got to go through what? Messes, failures, mistakes, again and again and again and again. Do you know Thomas Edison? Do you know that he was rejected in school? Ask me why. The teacher said he was too stupid. But Thomas Edison later on invented the light bulb and 1,094 patents. 1,094 inventions. Are you listening to me? The most successful people in the world are those with the most failures. How many of you have failed in your life? Raise your hand. How many of you have made messes in your life? Keep those hands raised. How many of you have made so many mistakes in your life? Raise your hand. Tell somebody beside you, you're qualified to become a great success. You're qualified. The qualification of success is failure. Failure is the road to success. Step number 1, make a mess. Step number 2, be a fool. The reason why many people don't act, ask me why. They don't want to be a fool. They don't want people to laugh at them. They don't want people to ridicule them. They don't want people to criticize them. Please understand, if you're going to be successful, you will be ridiculed. You will be laughed at. You will be criticized. But that's okay. The successful people in the world will always have haters. And you need to live with that. It was Stephen Furtick who said, if you're afraid of being misunderstood, God cannot use you. If you want God to use you, you must be ready to be laughed at and ridiculed and criticized. Are you listening to me? Do you know why successful people are hated? Ask me why. Because successful people are disruptors. They disrupt life. They disrupt how things are done. And some people don't like that. They like the way things are done, even if what is done does not work anymore. The feast that you're attending right now is a disruptor. And that's why there are religious leaders who like the feast and there are religious leaders who don't like the feast. There are priests who love the feast. There are priests who don't like the feast. Why? Because they say that the feast steals people from the parish. I want you to know this, that the purpose of the feast is not to reach out to people who are already attending the parish. Our whole mission is to reach out to 85% of Catholics who are no longer going to church on a Sunday. That's our mission. Bring them closer to God. When I saw that the feast had enemies, I knew that this feast was going to be successful. You cannot be a success if you will not have enemies, people who will not understand. You just can't. Tell somebody beside you, be a fool. Be a clown. Number 1, make a mess. Number 2, be a fool. Number 3, eat your frog. It was Brian Tracy who wrote a book entitled Eat Your Frog. What does that mean? Frog represents the most difficult task of a day. It was Mark Twain who said this. Mark Twain said this. Eat a live frog first thing in the morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Imagine if you make a to-do list in the morning and you write down your to-do list. I need to call, I'm a salesman, I need to call up 20 potential clients, clean the fridge, help Junior in math, buy fruits in the grocery and eat a frog. Brother Bo, what in the world is eat a frog? I mean, no, let's just use your imagination. Maybe you're studying in school and your biology teacher said that you're supposed to eat a live frog, as a class experiment. Or you're a woman and you're reading a female magazine, a women's magazine, and one of the pages there, an article says that if you eat a live frog, your skin will turn whiter, your nose will be taller, and you'll just be more beautiful. It has some side effects though. Your tongue will be 5 feet long, and it'll be extra sticky. But just imagine if your to-do list was that. 95% of the population will do this. They will delay eating the frog to the last minute. Because it is so repugnant, so repulsive, so difficult, so gut-wrenching. They will delay. Are you with me? They will delay. Why? 95% of the population will wait for the right mood. Will try to, have energy to eat the frog. Oh, this is so difficult. Let me just prepare myself and think about it and get psyched myself. They're waiting for energy. The energy will never happen. Ask me why? Because the mere thought of eating the frog, as long as the frog is not yet eaten, it will drain energy from you. Yes? But if you eat the frog first thing in the morning, you gain energy. You gain momentum. I did it! I did it! Ask somebody beside you, what's your frog? It might be making a difficult phone call. You're a student, it might be trigonometry. Studying for trigonometry because you hate trigo. You hate it. Guess what? Do it first thing. Do it first thing. Once you do it, the rest of the day will be playtime. When you eat your frog the first thing in the morning, the rest of the day will be playtime. It will be easy. Are you listening to me? Brother Bo, I have a problem. What if I have 2 frogs to eat during the day? Then this is my advice to you. If your job is to eat 2 frogs, eat the biggest one first. My assignment is that for the next 30 days, I want you to eat your frog every day. Eat your frog the first thing in the morning, every single day. Believe me, after 30 days, you will tell me, Brother Bo, my life has changed. It will change your life. Number 1, make a mess. Number 2, be a fool. Number 3, eat your frog. Number 4, to be an action person, do your thing. Tell somebody beside you, do your thing. 95% of the population do not eat their frog first thing in the morning, and that's why 95% of the population are not successful. It's only the 5% of the population who eat their frog in the morning. And you know what? They do that because after eating that frog, they do their thing. They do their thing. So, unsuccessful people, they do this and do that thing, and they do this thing, and they do that thing, and they do this thing, and they do that thing, and yeah, they do that thing also, and they do. No, successful people, they do one thing. And they do that thing again and again and again and again and again and again and again. I'm not worried when a young person comes up to me and says, Brother Bo, I do not know my calling yet. Brother Bo, I still do not know my core gift yet. Brother Bo, I still do not know. I'm not worried. I'll say, oh, you're still young. Go. I am bothered when an older person comes up to me, 40 plus. Brother Bo, I still don't know what to do with my life. The reason why you still do not know your core gift, your call, your one thing, ask me why. Because you've not made enough messes. You've been afraid to do things that you thought you can't. Brothers and sisters, please understand, you've got to make more messes. Experiment, explore, do things that you're frightened to do. Live in the edge, dirty your hands, muddy your feet, go dive in, do stuff that you've never done before. And then one day, when you make a lot of messes, you make your miracle. Do your thing. Listen to me. The only way, are you listening? Say, I'm listening. The only way to greatness is to be fantastic in doing one thing. What's the common denominator between Albert Einstein and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and Leonardo da Vinci and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett? What's common among them? Ask me what? They all started as amateurs. Would you believe once upon a time Albert Einstein did not know anything about physics? Would you believe that once upon a time Mozart did not know how to play the piano? Would you believe that once upon a time Leonardo da Vinci did not know how to paint? Would you believe that Bill Gates once upon a time did not know how to operate a computer? Would you believe that Warren Buffett once upon a time did not know anything about the stock market? The common thing about all of them was they started as amateurs. They started as amateurs, but they became experts. Malcolm Gladwell would say in his book Outliers that it takes 10,000 hours, 10,000 hours, doing one thing to become an expert. Robin Sharma would say this: there's a genius level. To become a genius level, to become a Steven Spielberg level, to become a Warren Buffett level, to become a Steve Jobs level, a genius level, you need not 10,000 hours, you need 30 to 40,000 hours of doing one thing. Ask the person beside you, what's your one thing? You've got to focus on that one thing, because that one thing is your path to greatness. You've got to know what your one thing is. Discover it. Make more messes. My stock market mentor, his name is Edward Lee. He started in the stock market when he was 18 years old. He's been doing it for 40 years. I calculated how many hours he's been doing the stock market. You know how many? Ask me how many. 80,000 hours. No wonder it's in the genius level. I started preaching when I was 13 years old. Today, 20 years later, I'm still preaching. I'm 33. Okay, 34. But all these years I've been preaching. There are many feast builders we have in the light of Jesus. Many of them started preaching when they were 13, when they were 15, when they were 18, and they're preaching until now. They've discovered their one thing. What's your one thing? Step 1, make a mess. Step 2, be a fool. Step 3, eat your frog. Step 4, do your thing. Step 5, make a mess again. You see, if you keep on doing today what you did yesterday, you become obsolete. You become obsolete. That's when you start dying. No. There are people who make a mess, make a miracle, and then they stop. They stop growing. No! After a success, make more messes. Because you can't stop learning, you can't stop growing. You've got to keep on. Do I hear an amen? Amen. Look at the picture that I'm going to flash on the screen. There are people who are searching for diamonds, and then they dig and they dig and they dig and dig. And the moment when they're about to hit the diamonds, they give up. Yes? They give up. Hold the hand of somebody beside you, please. Squeeze it so hard it crushes bones. And tell that person, never give up. You do not know how close you are to your diamonds. You do not know. Some of you are so close, and then you give up. Press on. Make a mess. make a mess until you reach your miracle. Because action attracts abundance. Action attracts abundance. Can I end with my story? A favorite story, a favorite old story. You've probably heard this before, but let me share it with you again. You have no choice anyway. You will have to bear with me because it's one of my favorite stories and I love sharing it. There were 3 construction workers who were working on top of a building, and then it was lunchtime. Dang, 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 dang. And the 3 construction workers sat down, and the first construction worker got his lunchbox and opened it. Tuyo. Every day that I'm alive, it's tuyo. I have tuyo for lunch. Tomorrow, if it's still tuyo, I will jump from this building and die. Second construction worker gets his lunchbox, opens it. Fried egg. Every day it's fried egg. Don't you know this? Fried egg, fried egg, fried egg. Every day. If tomorrow it's still fried egg, I'm going to jump from this building and die. Third construction worker gets his lunchbox, opens it. Sardinas. Araw-araw na ginawa ng Diyos, sardinas. Bukas, pag sardinas pa rin to, tatalon ako sa building na to at magpapakamatay. I will jump from this building if it's still sardines tomorrow and die. The next day, the 3 construction workers go to work in the building. Work, 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 lunch break. Dang, 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 dang. 3 construction workers sit down. First construction worker gets his lunchbox, opens it. Tuyo! 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 Throws, jumps off the building, falls down, and dies. Second construction worker opens his lunchbox. Fried egg! Fried egg! Throws it, jumps off the building, falls down, and dies. Third construction worker opens his lunchbox. Sardinas! Sardinas! Throws his lunchbox, jumps off the building, falls down, and dies. That's the story. What are you waiting for? No, there is, of course, an epilogue. Funeral. 3 caskets of the 3 construction workers. 3 widows comforting each other and crying. First widow says, I did not know that my husband doesn't like tuyo. I thought it was his favorite food. That's why I kept every day, putting tuyo in his lunchbox. Why didn't he tell me he doesn't like tuyo? Second widow, ako rin. I thought the favorite food of my husband was fried egg. So every day I put fried egg in his lunchbox. They were crying and crying. The third widow, she said, with a big question mark on her face, she was crying and she said, I can't relate with you. And the 2 widows said, why? And she answered, because my husband every morning prepares his own lunch. I love that story. I love that story because it's a perfect picture of you and me, of human life. I love it. Because we tend to complain about our lunch. Tell somebody beside you, you prepare your own lunch. We complain about, we're not happy with what we earn. We're not happy with our job. We're not happy with our relationships. We're not happy with our relationship with God. We're not happy with our health. We complain and we complain and we complain. At the end of the day, please understand, you cook your own lunch. The reason why you are where you are now is because you brought yourself there. Sure, there were some ingredients of the dish that came from other people, some influences, but guess what? You were the one who cooked it. You were the one who responded to the difficult situations in your life. It was still your choice. You still prepared your own lunch. So if you don't like what's happening in your life, for crying out loud, do something else, act in a different way, so that you will have a different lunch. Are you listening to me? Can you stand up, please? I remember this father talking to me, and he was desperate. Brother Bo, please pray for my son. I said, why? Oh, my son is rebellious. And I keep on shouting and screaming at him, and we're just shouting at one another. And, oh, Brother Bo, please pray for my son. So I told him, this is what you do. You can't, stop screaming at him. It doesn't work. You've got to love your son. You know, you cannot correct without the context of a strong relationship. You can't. You can only correct a child if there is a strong bond between both of you, when there's trust. Are you listening to me? When there's respect, you know. And so I told him, have a weekly date with your son. Weekly date with your son, where you bond, where you watch a movie, where you laugh together, when you swap stories, when you have fun together. Weekly date with your son. You know what he told me? Hirap naman. That's a bit difficult, Brother Bo. Can you just pray over my son? We like magic. But you see, the power of God will not flow if you do not act. You've got to act. Yes? You've got to act. You've got to act. There was this one woman who came up to me not too long ago. Brother Bo, pray for my finances. I'm not earning enough. I've got debts. Please pray over my finances. So I prayed for her. Then I said, by the way, have you attended any of my financial seminars? I'm having one on Saturday. What time, Brother Bo? 8 o'clock in the morning. Please be there. Ay, ang aga. I'm a late sleeper, Brother Bo. You want a miracle in your finances and you're not willing to wake up in the morning to attend the financial seminar? How can the power of God flow into your life? Are you with me on this? Many of us are like that third construction worker. Every morning goes to the kitchen, opens a can of sardines, cooks it, puts it in his lunchbox. And then a few hours later, during lunchtime, has the gall to be shocked by what he finds in the lunchbox. Sardinas! Ikaw naglagay dun eh! If you're not happy with any area of your life, if you're not content with any area of your life, please understand, you have the power to change that area.